right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get all the AVS stuff ran to, into the cab and stuff. So what I'm gonna do for right now is I'm just gonna do real simple. I'm gonna zip tie this right here just so it stays put, because I want to get our tubs made first, and then once I get these tubs made and I kind of know where everything's at, then I'm gonna fix this electrical box. And when I fix this electrical box, that's when I'm gonna mount this the correct way. But for now, this will work. This will work just fine. Okay, so I mean this here is all pretty simple. I mean, obviously you got your power wire, you got your ground wire, so those are all good. We'll get that'll all be easy there. And then what we have here, we got these three, I want to say these are 15 foot long. And what we got is we got one goes to the driver's door, one goes to the passenger door. So these two will get let's see, those two will go through the firewall, and then this one here is for a backup to pop the doors. So this wire right here, we'll hide somewhere in there. This is what I used on my my Duramax to run the 0 gauge wire through the firewall and the floor. And what I want to do is I'm going to drill it and mount it right there. So all I'm going to use is this right here. There you go. So it's a, I forget what they call these, but it's just a step bit. So each step is a little bit bigger. So. All right, so you can see right there where I got the hole drilled. So basically it's real simple. We're gonna take this right here. This goes through the hole, and then on the other side, this ring will actually secure it in. We got that installed. So now we can start running wires through there. Now, I'm gonna pull it through, make sure I feed all that.
But that's it.
Right there?
Yes, sir.
It should pop. There we go. All right, so all I did was I ran this tube through here. And what I'm hoping I could do is, since this is kind of a pain in the butt to get in, it's just a little too thick for this. So what I want to do is, if I just get it in there tight enough so that it actually kind of pull it for me, that's kind of my goal. I don't think this is going to fly right here. Kind of get that crammed in there and get it tight, and so now I can hopefully pull. Oh yeah, that's working just like that. All right, so what I did is I ran it on the inside in between here, and that was retarded. So now what I could do is I can put it right here and actually get this secured a little bit better, so it's that way when he gets his system put in, we don't have all these wires rattling around inside here. Hopefully these go back in decently. That one's in. You see I kind of smashed that one, so that one's going to have to go in the same way. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so I popped out the plastic thing. It's on each side. It's got these little push clips. So all you gotta do is either, if you can't access, I just did it from this side, just push down and it just popped right out. But or you could get a flathead screwdriver and just push down from this side. And then these, see, it's got this lip right here, and it just goes inside there. So if I remember right, yeah, see it's got these slits right here. It also has them in this plastic right here. So you can see how they'll line up right there. So just push in there, and there, it clips right in. Now we're done with that. All right, what's up, guys? So today we're gonna start with the alarm install, and I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't kind of overwhelmed with it or whatnot, because there is a lot of stuff here. And as I showed you guys before, you know, you got, this is the 8-pin plug harness. You got 22 right in this one. I think this one's got 4, you know, and then we got all kinds of stuff, you know. You got the sensor that needs to be hooked up. I forget what this thing does. I think this goes up on the hood. But there's just a lot of stuff. Here's another one too. So there's a ton of stuff. So luckily with this truck, we don't have a lot of the options that you'd normally have. You know, we don't have the power door locks. So there's just a lot of stuff we're not gonna have to worry about. So, you know, we're just gonna go for it and take a chance and hopefully it works. You know, so I got all kinds of papers that I've pulled and different charts and just stuff to try and help me figure out what goes to what. So, you know, it can just be a little overwhelming. So I think what I'm gonna do initially is, you know, if I knew exactly where all these were going to go, and you know, you don't even use a lot of these too, so that's another thing too. So like, if I knew exactly which ones I wasn't going to use, I'd just cut them off short, twist these wires up real nice and run them to where they need to go. But unfortunately, I'm not 100%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave everything long. You know, here's the main control box. I'm going to put it on the floorboard. I'm going to hook everything up the way I think that this goes, and then I'm gonna try and see if everything works. If everything works, then I'll go through and I'll cut everything short, make it all real nice, do my soldering, and go from there. So that's my plan. My plan right now is to start with this one right here. This seems to me to be the main plug harness. All right, so obviously all these alarms are going to come with your wiring diagrams. It just really breaks down to what these wires are, you know. So you have like your 8-pin that we're going to start with, you know, the red black, that's for if you have 3 ignition switches. You know, yellow is your starter output, green is your second ignition. So it kind of just tells you what the wire does. So, but it doesn't tell you where the wire is. So some of your alarms will come with like a wire diagram like this, and this is what kind of breaks down everything and tells you what goes to what. You know, it says like on my truck, you know, the red wire, that's your constant wire, yellow wires is your starter wire, pink is your ignition wire, and it just breaks it all down for you. So this makes it a lot easier. However, you know, it's always good to have some type of ohm meter or something like that, or a voltmeter. That way you could double check this stuff. So, you know, so like on this one here, it kind of tells you see, like right here, red and black and pink, those are for your third ignition. We don't have that stuff, so we're not going to use it. However, like the yellow one here, so see, I got a bunch of notes here because I've already checked. So the yellow is the starter output for remote start. So this goes to our yellow wire from the ignition harness, which is right here. So, but it tells you right here, this wire, the starter wire registers 12 volts during engine crank. So all you would do is hook up your voltmeter or your tester or whatever, crank it, and as soon as you start cranking, you should get 12 volts right there, and that's all you're looking for. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna get into it right now, and we'll start with these first ones. So what we have here, this is your ignition harnesses right here. So this wire right here is for our starter output. So obviously you could see at some point it was tapped in right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this a little longer than I normally would, because like I said before, we're going to put this together. We're going to put this together. But we're gonna be taking it back apart so I can make it all nice and kind of hide the stuff, hide the wires and all that good stuff as much as we can. Right there. Now I'm just gonna do the same. This is just for the time being to get us by, to make sure we're doing this right. Well, just like that. We'll put a little bit of tape on it though, that way we don't hit anything else. But what I don't want to do is though, I don't want to put the tape on the wire, because we are going to be soldering it. So I don't want the wire all dirty. So what I'll do is I'll wrap the tape backwards like this, and I'll just twist it and then tape it to itself. There, it looks like crap, but it's gonna work for what we're trying to do. We just don't want any power wires or stuff touching where we ain't supposed to. So this green wire says this is the ignition 2 output. So this wire would register, so it's basically your secondary ignition. So on our truck we have two ignition switches. Let's see, the first one is the pink wire, and then the second one is the white wire. And the white wire will register 12 volts when the vehicle is in ignition mode and during engine crank. So if you check it right now, there won't be any voltage. So see how I cut it right there. Now I'm going to come back a little bit, and there we go. So now you see you got that piece cut in there. Right there. So what I'll do is I'll bring my razor blade, a new one. There, we'll just take this wire right here and we'll split it. So when we split it right there, you want to try to, you know, get half on each side. That way you get a good amount on each side. And you know, because just in case one wire breaks or two wires break, you don't want to have both on one side and then this breaks away from it. So, but like I said, as you can see now, if we ever have a bad connection, it's only going to be with this. It's not going to be with this here. This will always have a good connection. So what I want to do is just double check what I'm doing. I got the green wire to the white wire. So this just simply just goes in there. We'll squeeze that back down. And right now I got it all twisted up. I won't leave it like that. I'll change it when we solder it. But I just want to make this easier so that we have good connection right there. And then let's do the same. Right, so now we have our red, our solid red.
How you doing, Gia?
Solid red. I don't think they've met Big G. This is Big G. She's a mess. She's been out there playing in the bushes. She thinks she's a lap dog, but she runs the property, keeps all the bad guys out. So I have both these wires. Like I said, this red one here, this is the main power, so this has to go to a 12 volt for the entire system. And then this red white one is a 12 volt, it's a secondary power for the remote start. So what I'm going to do with both these is, you could hook them both up to your red wire right here, which is a constant, but I'd rather have it hooked up straight to the battery. So what I did is I went and bought some extra wire right here, and I'm just going to run it through our hole that we made in there. And so what we have here is, for the actual system, we have your 12 volt power, your 12 volt ground. So those will obviously go to the battery. Those are your door triggers, connection, optional switch. So this would get also ran inside too. So here it is right here. So optional power outmode to rote system. So what I'll do is I'll run this wire in there, and then I'll just put one of these bullet connectors on there, so we got direct power to the battery. So same thing with these. I'm just gonna hook them up ghetto style, and all I want is just a connection right now. All right, so next we have purple, which is the accessory output. So this wire here is going to hook up to your vehicle's accessory wire to power vehicle's accessories during remote start. So whatever that means. So what this wire does is this wire will register 12 volts when the vehicle is running or is in accessory mode, but not during engine crank or if the vehicle is off. So when you're going to test these wires, that's what you're going to look for. You'll start your vehicle, and you want to make sure you got 12 volts when it's running. You got purple. We'll just take our purple wire, run it through. There we go. All right, so our last wire for this harness is going to be our blue wire, and our blue wire is for our ignition switch. So basically the blue wire is going to supply 12 volt power to the vehicle's primary ignition wire during remote start. Okay, so when you're checking these wires, you're looking for a wire that has 12 volts when the vehicle's in ignition mode and during engine crank. And so we've already checked ours, and we know it's this wire right here, which is our pink wire, solid pink. You just make a decent connection, tape it up. I'm gonna install our actual Siren, and to me looks like this is a decent spot right here. I think right here with it facing down is what we're gonna do. So I took the mount apart. Let's see how it can get it fit in there. It's pretty easy. Darn it. All right. So we'll do this the right way instead of half-assing it. So we'll just start a little starter hole here. And then we'll do the other one after. this hooked up in there. So now we got it does come with the lock washer, but I went ahead and put some blue Loctite on it also. Just cause, oh yeah, we're never getting that back.
Is that the washer?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So now it's going on with no washer. So thankfully we got the Loctite on there. Yeah, that sucks. We're not getting that back. All right, guys. Now we are gonna do our 4-pin alarm notification connector. Jesus. So this is what we got. So this one can get a little weird. So the white one will hook up to. Drop your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the white one hooks up to. On my truck, it's gonna be the brown wire, and the brown wire is your parking lights. Okay, so where it does get tricky is the white and red one. So this one here, you'll have to do a test on your vehicle, and basically, when your vehicle parking light wire registers 12 volt when the lights are on, then you have to connect this to a constant 12 volt wire. If the vehicle parking lot wire registers negative when the lights are on, then you have to connect the red white wire to a ground. So I'm almost positive on ours when it'll register a positive. So we'll have to hook this up to a constant 12 volt wire. So if you get inside here, this brown wire right here is this is our parking lots wire. Our parking lot. Alright guys, so since the our parking lots will register positive when the lights are on, that means that when the lights are off, it doesn't have any power. So if your alarm was to be set off, then basically we wouldn't be able to power the lights. So that's why this white with red wire will go to a 12 volt constant. So I have the one that we ran from up front that went directly off of the battery. So all I did was just connect it right here. So I mean, so far we got 4 wires going to that. So we will we'll get into that later on how we're going to get that set up. All right, so our next one is the white with the black, which is right here. So this one here, this just goes to the positive of the for the side. All I did was I had some speaker wire, and I'm just going to use that for the extra length I needed to run this to the Siren. Is the black wire, which I think is just a ground. So obviously, so some of these wires in here, there is a ground in here. You can ground to this. It's just, this isn't really that, it's not that good of a ground. So I think what I'm going to do is just run the negative side of that speaker wire that I just used. Just run that up straight up to the battery and just ground it out. That way it's got a good solid ground, because if you don't have a good ground, you'll chase this stuff trying to figure out what your problem was, because sometimes the ground will be decent, other times it won't. It just won't. You won't have just a constant ground that's gonna work for you. So it's best just to do it right the first time. So I'm going to use that other side and run that right now. Okay guys, so now we have the 22 pin input and output. So this is the one that's by far got me the most confused. I mean, there's so many wires in here and kind of like stuff I don't really even know what it is, like all these knock, or I don't know, like a lot of these wires are programmable and stuff like that. So what I've pulled aside is what I think we need. So it looks like there's 4, 8. So it looks like 9 wires that I think we need out of all 22. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So I'm just gonna start on number 1 and just go through. We'll get her done one way or another. We'll figure it out. So on our first one is wire number is our starter kill output, which is our first wire here, and it's orange. So another thing too, I mean, obviously this one's orange, but some of them get a little tricky. The colors, you know, they say they're orange, they kind of look brown, but what you could do is, obviously, like number 1 right here is orange starter kill. If you can't tell the color, you could always look at the pin location, and that way you can know for sure. So makes it good. So what gets tricky with this is, I understand a lot of it. It's real simple. Tack input, hood, you know, your doors, your dome light, that stuff's real easy to me. What is getting me kind of confused is the remote start portion. I think I have a good idea, but there's a lot of stuff you could do, like, you know, where they're having power go to stuff with when you have just remote start running, and that's what's really got me confused. So I think if I have an issue, I think it's going to be with the remote start portion. So what I have here, this is actually the remote start kill switch relay right here. So these all, I got a pretty good idea what they go to, but why I do have this out right now is because the starter kill output gets hooked up to the our kill switch. All right, so our next one is our hood input, and this is a hood switch right here. So what this does is this wire will actually it'll hook up to here, and I believe this is just, it's I think it's negative when it's down. So what happens is your hood would be closed like this, and then if somehow somebody opens your hood, this will hit and it activates your alarm. At least I think that's what it does. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will let me know. Alright guys, I'm going to end this one right here. I know these videos are getting kind of long with them being around 30 minutes and such, but it's kind of hard to really show you guys the details on what goes into putting this together, and you know, hopefully some of those details help you guys out at some point. But my goal is to finish this whole thing in the next video, and I'm going to get that out shortly, so stay tuned. That way we can get on to some of the fun stuff on getting the interior done and getting some painting done and whatnot. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, hit us up in the comments if you guys got any questions. Thanks.